Good morning and welcome to the conference on From MENA, Jewish Refugees to Israeli Cultural Renaissance. This conference is organized in collaboration with the Dahan Center at Bar-Ilan University, with Yad Yitzhak Ben Tzvi in Jerusalem, the World Zionist Organization, and the American Sephardi Federation. Mr. Yaakov Hagoel, that will join us later, is the chairperson of the World Zionist Organization. Mr. Eyal Gabay, who is with us, the chairperson of Yad Yitzhak Ben Tzvi in Jerusalem, and Mr. David Dangur, who will not be with us, but will have the chance to listen to him through the video. Distinguished lecturers that will introduce everyone later, students that will join us. Unfortunately, I don't see all the people that registered. We have on the list about 140, and I believe that all of them will come little by little during the day. Students and participants of the Jewish community. This is not the first time the Dahan Center in Bar-Ilan University is working together with the American Sephardi Federation on a conference on the Jewish people from Arab lands. The Dahan Center conducted few international conferences on Jews from Arab lands. Yet, unfortunately, not everyone in the Jewish community and the world as a whole, and not even in Israel, are familiar with the history of the Jewish history of the communities in Arab countries. There is a very little knowledge on their unique culture and their special social values that were developed in their communities. One of the struggles in the education system in the state of Israel is to change the curriculum that until recently excluded many important parts of the Jewish history and culture. We at the Dahan Center, our main goal is to advance research which can explore and expose many unknown facts about the communal life of these communities and their contribution to the Jewish heritage and creative culture. There is no doubt that this conference will lead us together to additional conferences which will deepen the knowledge of these communities. Today, in our conference, we are going to listen to lecturers about diverse communities in the Arab lands, but especially in Iraq. The main question is not what is unique about these communities in terms of communal life, social and spiritual leadership, creative culture, and the contribution of the Jewish people as a whole. Rather, what happened? What happened to these communities that disappeared in 20 to 25 years? After all, these communities continued for 2,000 years and ended in a short period of time. The other question is, how did this happen? If recently, in the colonial time, the Jews were able to live comfortably in their communities, both from an educational and economic aspect? And the answer is November 1947. On November 29th, in 1947, when the discussion on the establishment of the Jewish state took place at the UN, the Egyptian representative in the UN that time, Mr. Hassanin Haikel, said, if you accept this resolution to establish a Jewish state, all the Jewish communities in the Arab lands will pay the price. And unfortunately, his prophecy came true. Pogroms started in every Arab country. In 1949, pogrom in Damascus. 13 Jews were murdered and about 400 were injured. In Tripoli, 14 were killed and a bomb was thrown at the Jewish school. In Egypt, 1948, 22 people were killed in the Jewish quarter in Cairo, and thousands of the Jewish community were arrested and taken to jail. In Iraq, the pogrom started years before the resolution, and 180 people were killed in the Farhud. In Aden, 42 people were killed, 200 homes were destroyed, and synagogues were burned. Matter of fact, I could continue to describe all the destruction and killing that took place in the Arab lands that time. But I will leave it to our lecturers that probably, and I'm sure that they will give us a full description. I have no doubt that this conference, as well as additional conferences in the world, and especially in Israel, will really contribute to the exposure of the cultural assets, to the Jewish history, and special social values that were developed in these countries. Specifically, the issue of coping with modern life, while preserving the homogeneity of the community. This is in contrast to the many denominations that exist in the Ashkenazi community, such as Haredi, Hasidi, Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, etc. The rich cultural experience of these communities was hidden and was not talked about in the educational curriculum. This caused feeling of alienation and lack of belonging among the Jews from Arab countries in Israel, telling their story and describing the culture of Jews from these communities, as well as dealing with the question of what caused the end of their Jewish community life, will give us an answer to the hard questions that we are asking. Additionally, it will give an explanation to the Jewish youth about some of the important issues that their parents in the Arab countries suffered and passed. I'm sure, for example, that talking about social values, talking about religion in society, Jewish identity, Jewish education, and political issues such as the Arab and Jewish conflict that existed in Israel, if we could learn something from these social values that were in the communities, maybe you could help a little bit and solve some of the problems. In conclusion, I would like to thank all the participants in this conference. Thank you to the American Sephardi Federation, to the Ben Tzvi Institute in Jerusalem, especially to Mr. Eyal Gabay, to the Jewish History Museum. A special thanks to the World Zionist Organization, to the chairman, Mr. Yaakov Agoel. Thank you to the Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs for their support and financing also. Thanks to Sarina Rofeh, the Sephardi Heritage Project. A special thank for your important part, to you, Mr. Jason Guberman, and to you, Dr. Drora Arusi from the American Sephardic Federation in organizing this conference. Last but not least, thank you to our beloved staff and the Dahan Center, Mrs. Orako Belkovsky and Ayelet Chazan. And I wish us all enjoyable and successful conference. Thank you.